Hi, welcome to Business in View. I'm Denise Nichols, and with me this morning is Barry Wilkinson, Managing Director of Line and Length Network. Barry, welcome to the show. I am happy that you're here with us. And before we get too deep into any conversation, tell us a little fun fact about yourself.
Well, I was going to let my hair down and tell you everything, but obviously that's not an issue anymore. I have no hair. I guess you could say that I really love cricket, and cricket is the game of cricket is 100 more like 95% of everything that I do. Everything I do surrounds the game of cricket. So I'm a big cricket fan, big cricket analyst. I'm just into the game, and
Okay.
business generally of what I do now is much about cricket.
Hence the idea of line and length, because that's a cricketing term, right?
Yes, line and length is a cricketing term. It deals with where the ball has been pitched and the height it has been pitched at.
Mhm.
And so it's a term that's been coined like for the last 100 years of when the game started or before. And it's just something that I took the phrase and took the expression and used it to my business name since 2006. So it's been quite a while that Line and Length has been, the name Line and Length Network has been around.
Awesome. So line and length, we're going to measure things out a little bit and we can see the length of this whole interview. So Barry, can you share a little bit about your journey? The idea behind this show is, because of what's happening in the world today, the only way we can operate and at maximum is actually realizing the value of the community and doing things together. And so that's what the idea behind the show. How can we help others who are coming behind us who want to get involved in entrepreneurship, or any ideas that you can give to us? But first, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, basically, I started the business of, I was a journalist from the time I left school. I went to school at Foundation School. When I left Foundation, I went to community college to do an associate degree in mass communications. I also went to the O-Level Institute to do some extra O-Levels because I wanted to go to university. After that, I went to the Advocate newspaper where I worked for about 4 years. For the Advocate, I went to, well, it was at BCC, I went to CBC, the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, in 1997. And I spent 11 years there. Within that 11 years, I left CBC to go to England for just about 3 years to do a MA in international journalism, but I had to do a postgraduate diploma first, so that's why it took 3 years. And then I came back to CBC within that 11-year time. So I left Barbados in 1999, came back in 2002 when I graduated, and then I worked at CBC to 2008. And then I left CBC in 2008, and I've been on my own ever since then. That's when I started the Line and Length Network. In 2006, I started Line and Length Barbershop because the Line and Length concept came off of my television cricket program called Line and Length, which is a review program. We used to review cricket highlights and so on. We still do. It's been on pause for the last 18 months, but we should be starting back in October. But I coined that name, Line and Length Barbershop, off of the program because Line and Length also deals with your hair, the lines of your hair, the length of your hair. Mm-hmm. So that has been going since 2006. We're still up and running at Sheraton Mall, where we started. We've moved around a couple of spaces in the mall, but we're still there. And the network then started because cricket commentary was becoming much more high tech. And I think that a lot of stations around the region were not setting up their own broadcast when cricket was being played in their territories anymore. So let's say cricket was being played in Trinidad, you found that the Trinidad broadcasting was not setting up the commentary there, or if it's in Jamaica, RJR was not setting up the commentary there. So I sold to the Cricket West Indies, which was the West Indies Cricket Board then, to have a one cricket commentary team that will go around the region and cover the cricket, so you have one central commentary. And they bought that idea back in 2009, and that's when I started the Line and Length Network, because then I got the other stations from all around the region just to plug into our broadcasts. So we became a network to all of the stations throughout the region. I don't have the contract at the moment. A lot of other parties came in after I started that concept, and they obviously, might have had much more bargaining power than I have. But in between, we still do other projects. We did the last World Cup last year in 2019 in England. In between, I did the World Cup in Australia, in New Zealand. I did the World Cup in India in 2016. And we've been around. We did the World Cup in Sri Lanka when the West Indies won as well. So I've had great opportunities thanks to DMA Valley Vacations as well. They have made sure that we've gotten where we need to get. And it's just been a really interesting journey. I mean, there's so much to tell in between, but that's the gist of Line and Length. So here I am talking to you now on a Sunday morning. Unfortunately, I was supposed to be in England where the West Indies are playing. But as you know, there's COVID-19. And as a result, there were no flights that were taking persons at the beginning of the month when the West Indies were playing from here to England, unless, of course, you were going private. The West Indies went on a charter flight, which was strictly for them. And I wasn't able to go on that flight. So, and I don't think I would have traveled anyway, because I think the risk was so high. We decided, look, it's best to stay put. Let's see how this virus goes. Yes. Don't rush into anything. Do some stuff remotely and just take it from there. So in a nutshell, that's where we are today in 2020 on Sunday, July 26th.
Oh, you're dating us. But Barry, I've heard how you've spoken about your journey, because it's literally a journey. Because you've talked about going to different destinations and experiencing different cultures and being exposed to how people do business, how they respond. And that in some way would have helped you to be where you are today. I mean, given the fact that we as a people sometimes do not have the necessary resources, but the way that we can actually get further is pooling our resources and coming together as a community, as a collective. And so Line 11 Network, you had the idea, you had the thought process, you were able to pivot something, you were able to put that to the powers that be, but the resources were a problem. What were you saying now to a young up-and-coming individual who are saying, well, I don't have the resources, I don't have what is needed, so therefore I should put my hands in the air and say, I don't care, I need to just bury my head in the sand, but you were able to still continue. Tell us a little bit more about that aspect.
Well, when I started, I didn't have the resources. Everything just came as you went along. Right now, I still don't have a lot of resources. I would love a grant of about $150,000 to pay off some bills. But the fact of the matter is that once you're up, another day, another opportunity, you keep going. You keep going, and you keep having the faith that this is going to work out, because this was a plan that it was divine. It was a God-given destiny for you to do. And if you have that premise, you know that as you go along, everything will just fall into place. Major challenges come along the way. I mean, you don't have enough time for me to talk about the challenges that I face and the challenges I face within those things that I just spoke about. It might sound pretty, saying you went here, you went there, but the challenges inside of those places, I mean, tremendous. I remember I was in India in 2016, and I got sick. I don't speak Hindi, and to having to go to a hospital that has like about 100,000 people. Hospitals there are not like here where you go. I mean, people talk about waiting long here. Sometimes you go to the hospital overseas and you have to wait days. So you have challenges. You do have challenges in everything that you do, and you just have to keep on fighting. If you stop fighting, you'll get knocked out. So if there's anyone who wants to get into business or get into anything, if you're going to sit down and wait to have everything and every resource, you'll be waiting forever. Forever and ever you're going to be waiting for. If you think that, okay, I want to start a business, I'm going to wait till I get the right place. I'm going to wait till I get the amount of money I need to start. I'm going to wait till I get the right staff. I'm going to wait till I get the right amount of stock. You'll be waiting forever, because there's never the right amount. There's never everything you need. You never have it. It's a learning process. You have to keep going. You're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to fall several times. But the thing is that once you have another day, you have another opportunity. So that's how I've lived. And that's perhaps why I am still standing at this moment. If I had decided to throw the gloves in, I would have been knocked out and down on the ground.
So jump into the deep end. You jump into the deep end of the pool.
Jump into the deep end of the pool and get started. Implementation is power. People say that knowledge is power, but I believe that if knowledge is power, people who teach will be the richest people in the world. Professors will be the richest people in the world.
Yes.
Implementation is power. Implement your stuff. Get started. Get out there. Don't wait on everything to be perfect, because that will never ever happen. Perfection never comes like that.
You know, I went to St. Leonard's Girls' School and then on to Commonwealth. St. Leonard's Girls' School, the motto is knowledge is power. But I always went on to say the true application of said knowledge is where the real power is. Just like you said, application and implementation. So we can talk to the coast come home, but unless we get up and jump into the deep end of the pool, be tenacious and be relentless, because that's what I'm hearing from you. Because despite the challenges, you decide that I'm going to push forward. And you know, one day, we look forward to that one day where you can actually get that opportunity to go further than you ever imagined. That Colonel Sanders moment, I'm not saying you can wait till 60, but you wait for that moment. So to the viewers, to the listeners, press in. You hear what Barry is saying. You watch him on the news, the sportscast, and like he said, it looks glamorous, but there's always something more you have to do. It is the behind the scenes that you don't see that really is critical, that make or break you as an individual. Now, Barry, we're going to continue to talk a little bit more. And I want to know if you have, I know you've given some idea, but give us a little bit about we talk about it somewhat there, but some of the pitfalls. Because you said if we had a little bit more time, we're going to give a little bit more time to talk about the pitfalls, the challenges, because we all want that glorious moment where we stand on the podium and we receive that gold award. But they don't talk about the swimmer who gets up early in the morning when nobody's up and swimming that pool. Tell us a bit more about that aspect.
Sure. I mean, all right. Well, the most recent one I've had last year during the 2019 Cricket World Cup in England, we were contracted to provide commentary services for the entire world, radio commentary services for the entire world market of all of the matches for the Cricket World Cup. It was a hell of a task. It meant going from, some days you will be commentating from Old Trafford, which is in Manchester, and as soon as the match is finished, you have to drive to Southampton, which is in Hampshire. So it was being on the road constantly every day. And what happened is that after about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of constant hard work up and down, there became a legal problem with the rights holders who employed us and the owners of the Cricket World Cup. And they got into a legal battle, and we were stopped from doing cricket commentary and coverage for about a 2-week period. So it's like you left your family, you're hired to do this, and then we had some problems in terms of getting monies to us because it was a legal problem. This thing was being played out in Dubai, where the ICC is located and where the rights holders who hired us are located. And this is a big legal problem being played out in Dubai, and we are in England not knowing what's happening, what to do. People around the world were calling us, what's happened to the commentary feed? You know, I put them on to Channel 2, who were the persons that hired us. And it was just a very hurtful, a very hard period of my entire life, because you can imagine you're hired to do a job so far and you're not getting your money. People are calling you, you have all your equipment, you have a crew, and it's just total mayhem. And I just had to fight through that. I mean, fight through it, pray through it, work through it. I was still going to the cricket games that we were not allowed to broadcast. So people are only watching the games on television. People who are on the radio every minute were WhatsApping, what happened to the radio commentary? People were emailing. And I kept saying, look, please, it's a legal matter. If you really are concerned, talk to so with everybody, because they were hearing me, were dealing directly with me. So it became rather harrowing. And then you still have to deal with your family at home in terms of communicating and so on. So that took a lot of fight, that took a lot of courage, took a lot of prayer, took a lot of understanding that just be patient. And at the end of it, within the last week, the matter finally got solved and we were allowed back on air. And it just allowed me to see that sometimes in life you have to be just patient, just wait, and don't stress yourself out while you're under stress. If that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Because
yeah, go ahead.
Right. I was just saying that, you know, many times we're in a difficult situation and we do not know what to do. And like you mentioned, it was difficult, but I heard you say it more than once. Twice you said that you prayed. And many times people look at situations and they said, well, is there really the point in praying? Is there any help that you can get? But actually praying to God and asking for his help helps us. And even me as a business person, throughout my entire life in business over 26 years, it's built on prayer. We cannot do anything and accomplish anything of any great significance on our own. We need God and we need each other. So this morning as a community, we've come together, Barry and myself, we've come together this morning, Business in View, to say to you that your business is in your view. It is around the corner, but your perspective, your response, those you have around you will determine how you get through or you don't get through. So Barry is saying, as a managing director of Line and Length Network, that yes, we need to network. We need to move with those people around us. We need to create the right lines around us because the boundaries that we need, we're hitting the boundaries, we're hitting it for 6. So we need to get the right boundaries.
You sound good for commentary.
Yes, yes. And listen to the right commentary. Barry, sorry, any closing thoughts? Because we're about to wrap up in the next couple of minutes. Any closing thoughts?
No, just that I love what you're doing. And I think your business is really blessed. I mean, I have been with you for like how long? I mean, you have saved me on a number of occasions, or you are Lucille, in terms of being stuck somewhere. And I just want to thank you for that, because people talk about, now that traveling is on a bit of a hold and it's not as fluid as before, people talk about traveling. I always believe in going with a travel agency, because when you're stuck, you can't go online if you don't even have internet at some airports, but you can pick up the phone and you can call your travel agent to make things right. I remember this year, in February, just before the coronavirus became a massive outbreak, I was coming back from Pakistan and I was stuck in Turkey, and I could not get a flight because the flight was canceled. All the flights were now beginning to get canceled and so on. And I was able to pick up the phone and call your agency who had done the ticket for me, and you were able to get me on a flight to get to New York, to get back to Barbados just in time. And the day I came back was the next day is when they canceled all travel. So had I not got another flight, I would be stuck. I would probably be stuck somewhere far out with this whole lockdown and virus. So, I want to say thank you for your agency. It has blessed a lot of people. And I hope that you guys continue to move on. I hope people can continue to have the strength in using travel agencies, because sometimes you don't always depend on booking things online. When you book things online, sometimes you can't get back online, you can't get your money, you don't know who to talk to, who to call if it's a problem. It's really good to be with you guys. So I want to thank you for that. That was my parting word.
Thank you so much. As I say, without your travel agent, you're on your own.
That's right. That's right.
And without Barry Wilkinson recording and commenting and being there for Line and Length Network, in terms of all his businesses, in terms of all what he's done, and we working as a community, you will be on your own as well, because we need the power of the collective. We need each other. As I endorse his business, he has endorsed ours, and we need to move as one. I realize that what is really important right now in this time of difficulty is the power of the collective. Moving as a community.
On that note, yours. Just one last thing. Mm-hmm. That would be my biggest thing. We need to be more together. Yes. We need to move together and help each other. Too often you're in this business and everyone is pulling down, fighting against each other. I just hate it. I hate when I send emails to people that respond. You send a WhatsApp to somebody regarding business, they read it, don't respond. Everybody say they're so busy, but be professional, and that is a big pet peeve of mine. I think communication is very important, especially in small businesses, but people just don't communicate like before. They just are very arrogant and very, they're ignorant to the fact that they need to communicate with you, even if you respond. Even if you say no, at least acknowledge. Yes.
Barry, that's how we are actually in the meeting of the minds right now. We're twinning it with that. That is one of my pet peeves. I give myself, and I said to Denise, whoever calls you, return that call. Whoever has said, don't matter, because today you think you're so big and you don't need that little man. But, things could turn. You become that little man and you're knocking on the door. Nobody's responding because there's a law. It's called sowing and reaping. And what you sow, you reap. So you're so right, Barry. You hit the nail on the head. So that's a great closing thought. Communicate effectively. If somebody send you an email or WhatsApp, respond.
Respond. You don't have to respond with a big, just acknowledge. Receive or revert. Give yourself a day or two revert.
Exactly.
At this stage, you're not interested, we can do it. At least you've responded, but have the respect to respond. is critical. And people who say, well, look, I am too busy to respond, those people are not busy. They're just not interested. And if they were busy, they would have been a bigger business enough to have someone who's responding for them. So I don't buy it. If people read and don't respond to you, they're just not interested. So move on. Right? Don't run them down.
Yes. So we need each other. So Barry, thank you so much for taking time out to be part of Business in View, as we share our thoughts, as we share our journey, the pitfalls, the fun facts, the things that we have gone through, so we can help someone out. So bless you guys for listening. Share the video, subscribe, let others know that we're here for you. Business in View, as we communicate, as we converse, as we become creative. God bless you. Shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.